For background purposes, I still live in the house I grew up in. A two-story home of dark red brick at the very end of 14th Street, where the road narrows and the streetlights feel just a little farther apart than they should be. From the outside, it's the kind of place people compliment: solid, quiet, well kept. Inside, it always smells faintly of detergent, like freshly washed clothes, but underneath that something older lingers. Damp wood, maybe, something that never quite aired out. When my parents passed away from health complications in my early 20s, the house was one of the few things they left behind. Over time, as the sharper edges of that loss dulled, the house remained. The one thing I could never quite bring myself to let go of. Though, if I'm being honest, I think they would have preferred I sold it. All these years later, and I still live alone, not for lack of trying. I have a steady job and a good circle of friends, people I genuinely care about. Over the years, I've watched each of them find someone, watched their lives grow outward while mine stayed the same. I don't think I'm unpleasant to be around. I take care of myself. I can hold a conversation. But relationships never last, not past a certain point. For a long time, I told myself it was bad luck, timing, compatibility. But deep down, I've always known what it really is. It's this house. Before I tell you about Sylvia and why I'm writing this at all, I need to explain something about this house. Specifically, the basement. The house itself is perfect in ways that don't feel all that natural. In 35 years, nothing has ever really broken. The roof has never needed replacing. Appliances outlast what they should. Dust doesn't settle the way it does in other homes. Even spills on the hardwood floors come up too easily, like they never had time to set in. My parents never questioned it, or if they did, they never said so. The only thing they ever warned me about was the basement. The door leading to the basement sits just off the kitchen. When you open it, the staircase drops down sharply before turning right, the wooden railing on the left giving you a clear line of sight into the back portion of the basement, the area near the laundry room. Every so often, without warning, the door will be open. Not cracked, not slightly ajar. Wide open. And if you stand there, just a few feet back, you'll see it. A person, or something shaped like one, draped in dark gray robes, standing at the back of the basement with its back turned to you. It never moves, not even slightly, no shifting weight, no breath, just stillness, the kind that feels wrong if you look at it for too long. My parents only ever gave me one rule. Don't engage with it, don't speak to it, don't go down there when it's there. If you leave it alone, eventually the door will be closed again. And when it is, the basement is just a basement. Laundry, storage, nothing more. It always worked that way. At least it always had. Growing up with it, I stopped thinking of it as something terrifying. It was, if anything, inconvenient. Something to avoid. Something you explained away. But other people don't grow up with things like that. Every relationship I've had ended the same way. They'd come over. They'd see the door open, they'd look down, and they'd never quite look at me the same after that. I could hardly ever blame them. Then I met Sylvia. She was the first person who didn't run. I still remember the first time she saw it. She stood at the top of the stairs, one hand resting on the door frame, looking down longer than anyone ever had. I was already preparing myself, thinking of how I'd explain it, how I'd try to soften it. But when I finally spoke, she just nodded. "That's it," she asked. "It just stands there." I told her the rule: don't engage, don't acknowledge it. She smiled, almost amused. "Then what's the problem?" I think that was the moment I let my guard down. We grew close quickly after that, closer than I'd ever gotten with anyone. Within a year, she moved in. For the first time in 8 years, I wasn't alone in that house. I was the happiest I've ever been. And for a while, everything felt normal. The basement door stopped opening. Weeks passed, then months, no sign of it, no robed figure, nothing. I let myself believe it was over, that whatever had been there was gone, that I could finally have a life that was defined by that rule. I should have known better. One night, Sylvia and I were on the couch, halfway through a movie, takeout containers scattered across the coffee table. The living room door had been left open, like it always was. I barely noticed at first, just a bit of movement in my peripherals. The door closed slowly, gently, not a slam, not a creak, just a quiet, deliberate push until the latch clicked into place. Sylvia looked at me. "Did you do that?" I shook my head. Neither of us moved for a long time after that. That night we barely slept. Every sound of the house settling, the hum of the AC coming from the vents, the faint ticking of pipes felt sharper, closer. In the days that followed, it kept happening. Doors closing on their own. Always when we were in the room together. Always slow at first, controlled, careful. That's when I noticed Sylvia's behavior started changing. At first it was small things. She'd lose her train of thought mid-sentence, then laugh it off. She started waking up in the middle of the night, making quiet trips out of the bedroom. When I asked, she'd say she couldn't sleep, that the house felt different. Then the doors started closing harder. Not gently anymore, sharply, sudden enough to make us jump. Then soon after, the sound was accompanied by footsteps. Fast, light, rushing away from the door. That's when Sylvia started laughing as a response. The first time, I thought it was nerves, a reflex, but it wasn't the kind of laugh you use to calm yourself down. I had grown accepting of this house and what it entailed for years, but even I never reacted in that way. It wasn't a normal response. And her laugh, it was wrong. It wasn't inhuman sounding. Not something I'd say was incapable of her voice, but it sounded incorrect, if that makes sense. Soon after, she began talking about it. "I think it wants something," she said one night, staring at the hallway like she was listening for it. I told her no, that we don't engage. That's the only rule that matters. She nodded, but I could tell she didn't agree. It got harder to ignore after that. There were moments I'd catch her standing near a doorway just watching it, waiting. Once, I had to grab her arm to stop her from reaching for the handle, as it rattled slightly in its frame. "I just want to see it," she said, smiling, "just once." "No," I told her, maybe louder than I meant to. "We don't do that." She didn't argue, but the smile didn't leave. One night, around 1 in the morning, I woke up and she wasn't in bed. The bedroom door was open. The hallway beyond it was too dark to see. The kind of imposing darkness that pulls your eyes toward it, while your body screams to look away. I sat there for a while listening, waiting for something, anything. Then I saw her. She stepped into the doorway slowly, stopping just inside the frame. Her face was shadowed, but I could see her eyes fixed on me. "Sylvia," I asked, "are you okay?" She didn't answer. She just stood there for a few seconds longer, then walked back to bed and lay down beside me like nothing had happened. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to ask. Before I could do anything, the door to the bedroom slammed shut. The sound cracked through the room, loud enough to make my ears ring. The door shuddered on its hinges, vibrating in short, violent bursts. I turned back to the bed, expecting to see her, but Sylvia was gone. For a second, I couldn't move. My brain raced to process what was happening, then it hit all at once. I ran. Down the stairs, through the hallway, peering into every room expecting to see her. Finally, in the kitchen, there she was. In the far corner, crouched low, her hands clamped tightly over her ears. "Sylvia," I said, my voice shaking despite everything. "Hey, it's okay, I'm here." She didn't respond. I took a step closer. "Sylvia." She started laughing, low, deep laughter that froze me in place. Slowly she stood. Each movement came with a sharp sound of something inside her breaking, like joints bending in ways they weren't meant to. With every agonizing crack followed the sound of a door somewhere in the house slamming shut, one after another, closer, louder. Still facing away from me, her hands at her sides, she spoke. Something about the voice caught in my chest. Soft, familiar. A distant memory of the way my mother used to sound when she would explain the rules. Don't engage with it, don't speak to it, don't go down there when it's there. I held my breath as the basement door creaked open behind me. Turning around, peering down into the darkness, I saw it. The figure had returned. It met my gaze, and in that moment I understood. I had just broken the rule. A few hours have passed, and I've since locked myself in the office. The distant sound of doors opening and closing continues as I write this. I want to believe Sylvia is okay, that we can be together again. I don't know what I'm supposed to do when morning comes. Until then, I just hope the door to my office stays closed.